Sexy superstar Sydney Sweeney has been outed as a Republican. Does this mean that woke is finally dead in advertising?
And we'll be having a wider discussion about what celebrity endorsements actually mean in politics.
The problem with most people in Hollywood is they are where they are precisely because they're beautiful. Also, actors are quite often thick. So the last thing you want is some dumb actor coming out to endorse you because it doesn't really add anything to it. I think the really interesting thing about the Sydney story is it demonstrates that woke is dead in advertising. This jeans company have decided we want just a beautiful blonde star. We want her to say something semi-racist.
I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney has very jeans.
You see what I did there, right?
Cleo, who was that?
Tim, I know you've been up a mountain in Wales for the last week. Where have you been?
With no TV.
No TV.
I had board games, but no TV.
That was Sydney Sweeney. Now, some of our listeners may have heard that name floating around the internet the last few days. Obviously, you did not hear that. Why is everybody talking about her? She's an actor. She's been in The White Lotus, The Handmaid's Tale, Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She's a big star, a big emerging star. And she has suddenly come into the spotlight sort of twice. There's been a second wave for her. The first is she is in an advert for American Eagle. They make denim jeans. And as you heard from the clip, there's a clever little pun on jeans with a J, jeans with a G.
Right.
That has triggered a slightly fascinating backlash in the States about eugenics, the idea that her genes being great imply that white genes are better than black genes and so forth. And there's been an interesting backlash in turn to that with people saying this is greatly overblown.
Yeah.
It's just a denim advert. In fact, there is a similar advert with Calvin Klein in the 1980s based on the exact same premise.
Right.
The reason there's been a second wave is because it has since emerged that Sweeney is a registered Republican in Florida.
Wow.
And now the President of the United States, Donald Trump, cannot get enough of it. And here, in fact, is a little clip from him reacting to the news.
She's a registered Republican? Oh, now I love her ad. Is that right? Is Sydney Sweeney? You'd be surprised at how many people are Republicans. That's what I wouldn't have known, but I'm glad you told me that. If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We should say also that Trump regularly says someone has great genes. It's a compliment Trump's always saying.
That's true. That's very true. So there's much debate on one side of the internet, obviously, about how canny a marketing campaign this is from American Eagle. And their stock price has shot up 20%. So they've done a fantastic job. But it has got us thinking about the use of celebrity endorsements for politicians and political campaigns. In America, in the last year, of course, we had Kamala Harris getting every kind of endorsement you can get under the sun. Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Oprah Winfrey. Donald Trump, Hulk Hogan, Kid Rock, Elon Musk. I
think the difference is the Democrats, there is a line of people to endorse a Democrat candidate. The Republicans, there's only ever in a season half a dozen people like Dean Cain, John Voight. They all tend to be older, over the hill. So it's more of a case of the Democrats can pick and choose. And they often deploy celebrity endorsements strategically to signal to different parts of the population the kind of vote they want, like your Wheel Up Oprah. You can be more tactical with it. With the Republicans, they take whoever they can get because they're the ugly people at the party, right? So
that's true. But also, I think within Democrat politics, there's a lot of pressure on celebrities to come out, and that silence is in some ways cowardly. So Taylor Swift was under a lot of pressure to eventually endorse Kamala Harris.
Yes.
And actually the evidence suggests that celebrity endorsements do not actually help the outcome for that particular candidate, but they do help with voter engagement and voter turnout. They're one of the best voter turnout sort of tools that you can have.
Right.
So a perfect example of this in the UK is in 2019, which was a Conservative landslide. But on the day that Stormzy came out to endorse Jeremy Corbyn, voter registrations went up 283%.
Wow.
In the UK.
Okay, that's interesting.
It didn't actually help the candidate, but it did help with voter engagement.
Yes. Okay.
And I've got some anecdotal evidence of this myself
From the campaigns you've worked on.
Some of the campaigns I've worked on, in particular the Vote Leave campaign in 2016, which supports my thesis that celebrity endorsements, not only in my view, don't help, they can actively be unhelpful.
Right. I'm just surprised any celebrity endorsed Vote Leave. I didn't know there were any.
We had Tim Martin off of Wetherspoons.
He's not okay. That's not a celebrity. I don't mean
No.
businessmen, entrepreneurs. I mean TV, radio, film.
No, we didn't. And actually, we actively didn't really try and seek people out. It was desperately unfashionable
Right,
in kind of
interesting.
cool media circles to be interested in Leave. And we had
Yeah.
a few people whose names I shall not reveal, who we quietly spoke to, but they didn't feel comfortable
Yeah.
coming out and supporting us. But if you remember, the Remain campaign had every kind of business person you can possibly imagine. They had Keira Knightley, Benedict Cumberbatch, and at the time we just weren't really concerned about this. So for business leaders, sort of cutting it into two piles. For business leaders, they were able to come out with lists of 200 people writing letters to the Times saying this is why we must remain in the UK. And the next day, we would look at local business people who'd write letters in their local newspapers. So we try and find the biggest employer who supported us in Leicestershire. And actually that had much more impact than someone that people slightly equate with the 2008 crash and a lot of their problem. They do. And we had the
Yes.
same thing with celebrities. So, do you remember Keira Knightley did that advert saying, "Don't F with my future," which was a kind of get the youth vote out for Remain. And it just had a horrible, horrible backlash because people thought, this person doesn't use the NHS, this person doesn't use the kind of parts of life that are important to me every day. They have no idea what it is to struggle and to worry and to, in their view, deal with the impact of immigration coming to a town like, I don't know, Rotherham or Grimsby. They don't understand what it is to have industrialisation in my part of the world break down altogether. They only see the benefits of EU membership. They don't see the problems. This is what I feel in my community. And the Remain campaign never understood why these endorsements just didn't work. And I remember speaking to the director of that kind of external outreach after the campaign was over. And he said, I never understood how we were able to get these incredibly high profile celebrities and business people and experts to come out and speak on Remain's behalf. And the next day, Vote Leave would release a press statement saying something like, people don't trust celebrities, people don't trust experts, people have had enough of this. And it was completely right. And we also just didn't therefore waste a load of time and energy trying to get these endorsements, which arguably happened all over again with Hillary Clinton and then Kamala Harris, which was a huge emphasis on trying to get these people to come out for them. And it only works internally, I think. The big celebrity intervention last year that actually had an impact on politics was George Clooney writing an open letter saying Joe Biden has to go.
Yeah.
And that did not help.
And that's internal politics. That wasn't about
Exactly.
shifting votes. That was about changing the conversation in
Exactly.
the Democratic Party.
Yeah. I suppose the real problem is, what does this mean for Sydney Sweeney? Is is there a reverse problem here, which is her being associated with the Republicans? Will that affect her career in Hollywood?
I think the interesting thing about Sydney is that she's good looking, and most Republicans are not. If you were to say Republican celebrity, you think of Roseanne Barr.
Megyn Kelly?
I don't even know where Roseanne's politics are right now, but that usually Republicans, as I say, are older, less good looking, whereas beautiful people tend to drift towards the Democratic Party. And that's one reason why they're not very good as an endorsement. There are some liberal endorsements which I think do, if not make a difference, they add to the brand. Bruce Springsteen. Mm-hmm. If you can get Bruce out, that directly connects you to working class voters. If you can deploy Oprah, that probably helps with mobilizing African Americans, but also there's an aspirational quality to Oprah. Just everyone kind of likes her. She's an everyman kind of figure. Whereas the problem with most people in Hollywood is they are where they are precisely because they're beautiful. Also, actors are quite often thick. So the last thing you want is some dumb actor coming out to endorse you because it doesn't really add anything to it. I think the really interesting thing about the Sydney story is it demonstrates that woke is dead in advertising. This jeans company have decided we want just a beautiful blonde star. We want her to say something semi-racist. And I believe the incredible thing is, am I not right that their sales have actually gone up?
They have,
As a result of this canny marketing campaign, our brilliantly pre-written script says, their stock has shot up 20%. So that, to me, is the interesting thing, is the cultural tide has turned in that. If you compare it to the infamous Jaguar ad, which is the highly multicultural ad where everyone came out in different colors, sort of dressed like abstract shapes.
It was also a hideous rebrand. It was just bad.
It was just a bad rebrand, but it was like the last gasp of woke, whereas putting pretty girl in a pair of jeans and saying, I'm anatomically perfect, seems to be what people are buying.
There's a very fine line because American Eagle have been able to come out and say, this is just about the jeans. We didn't mean for this to explode in the way it has. So it's managed to cause debate without any real backlash. People are not saying we need to kind of throw bricks through American Eagle store windows. They've not had to take anything down. It's sort of the perfectly crafted marketing campaign where there's been backlash just the right amount.
Yeah.
I don't think they were expecting this second wave. That's the question. With Donald Trump's intervention and Sydney being outed as a Republican, what does that mean for her?
I wrote a book on Hollywood politics. You can't buy it. Don't buy it. You can't buy it. It's all been remaindered and pulped. It was a total failure. But one thing I will mention that's pointed out in it, we assume that politics is liberal in America, but almost all the successful people who've transitioned from Hollywood to politics have been Republican, not the other way around. Ronald Reagan, Sonny Bono, Arnold Schwarzenegger. The strange thing is actually the people who have made a success as actors in politics have been right-wing, not left-wing.